Hello, everybody of YouTube. At least, those who watch me and everything on here on YouTube. Today, I'm planning to do a review of the Transformers Dark of the Moon Studio Series Shockwave. So, let's get started. For starters, he is a good figure, in my opinion. A lot more accurate to how he appeared in the movie than the Transformers Dark of the Moon Mech Tech Shockwave. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have the Mech Tech Shockwave for those that have seen it over on my TikTok page, which is pretty much the same name on, which is pretty much the same name on my YouTube channel, which is, again, Megatron the Comedian. But I don't really use that Mech Tech Shockwave for like the actual character of Shockwave. I use him and have him as like Shockwave's younger brother Cyclops, who's a totally made up character, created by me and everything. Anyway, this is not a video about that. So this is, other than that, I must say that this is a far more accurate figure than, and basically close to what we got to the actual movie than the Mech Tech one. Now, the one, like, don't get me wrong, I love this design and everything. But I feel like the gun right here could have been on his left hand, like it's always kind of been. But I think for this design specifically it works, but I don't know. Share your opinions on that. I have no idea what you want to, say about that. But it is a good figure. Anyway, I do wish that they could have made him have another hand right here like they did on his Mech Tech figure, instead of just giving him a little tiny thumb. But nothing I could do about it. And a whole bunch of people talk about how this figure wasn't purple enough, but in my opinion this is exactly how he looked in the movie, so you can't really complain about it. Now, on the other hand, sorry, excuse me. I wish, in my honest opinion, that Shockwave could have talked in the movie instead of just, saying Optimus and then, not really transforming or anything like that. Basically, everything that Shockwave could have done in the movie, he didn't do, if that makes sense. But, yeah, anyway, this is basically, hold on, like, this is basically how he looks like in full camera view. And then this is how he looks like from the back. His little tiny cannon thingies right here, and then here's his blade. Now, his blade is fully made of rubber, which is understandable because, you don't want to accidentally poke a kid's eye out or anything. So I understand that. But this, at the same time, is also rubber. I don't think that they should have made that rubber, but then again, I don't know. And then here, of course, is his little energy cord for his gun to help him power it and everything, which I find to be pretty cool because he didn't have that in the original cartoon. I mean, he does have it in Transformers Prime, but I think him having his gun connected to his back like this makes a whole lot of sense for his character. Like, I don't know if he necessarily had that in the original TV show, but I do feel like it's a nice addition to his character. So yeah, He does have full articulation. You know, his arm could do a full 360 like that and back. And if you take the cord out right here, his, you know, it's pretty much the same thing with his gun arm. And his head could also do a full 360. His legs have good articulation. Hold on, let me just take that out of the camera so that way you can see it better. So his legs do have nice articulation and everything. Pretty much the same thing on this leg right here. And so yeah. And then hold on, let me just fix his back cannons right there. So so far, you know, that's pretty much all he could do at the moment. Like, of course, you know, his arm could obviously do this. Hold on, before the blade thing comes off. So yeah, that's pretty much the extent of his articulation. Now here is some figures I want to give for his, you know, size comparison. So to start off, here is how he looks when compared to Rise of the Beast Optimus. He is taller, you know, than Rise of the Beast Optimus. At least, you know, by the shoulder and everything. If you don't count the smokestacks. And then, here he is next to the Transformers Prime Legacy Dreadwing. They're pretty much the same size. Well, I mean, Dreadwing is slightly taller right there. I'm not gonna do the size comparison between him and Skyquake since, this is pretty much the same toy that was used, like the same design that was used for Skyquake. Obviously, due to the fact, obviously, only difference is, you know, being the Decepticon symbol and the fact that Dreadwing is blue or purple, and you know, gold. So, I mean, that's pretty obvious. But this is not a video about Dreadwing or Skyquake. So then here he is, having a size comparison to the Studio Series Legacy Grindor. They're pretty much like, if you don't include the rotor and everything right here, they're pretty much the same size. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. They're pretty much the same size, you know, if you don't include the rotor and everything, and like pretty much the huge backpack that that Studio Series Grindor has, you know, before he falls. So then, sorry, excuse me again. So then here he is with Studio Series Bumblebee Movie Concept Art Megatron. Now, Megatron, Concept Art Megatron is taller than he is, at least by a few inches. You know, and I'm not saying it's because of his fusion cannon, obviously, because, you know, you could just take that out. And, yeah, they're pretty much a little bit, you know, pretty much the same size as shoulder length. But, you know, you go here, Megatron's taller. So then, here he is also compared to the Studio Series Revenge of the Fallen Megatronus Prime, or the Fallen in other words. Now, obviously, the Fallen is taller than he is, as one can obviously tell. So, yeah, since, you know, the Fallen is pretty much, you know, the tallest Decepticon in existence. So, yeah, there's that. Don't mind the shoes in the background. So now here comes the accessories that he came with, if you want to call them accessories. So here he came with Wheelie, Wheelie, the blue one right here, the dark blue one, and Brains. They're a fine addition because okay, fine, they were in the Dark of the Moon movie. But if you honestly ask me, these two could have at least been a little bit bigger, than what they were. I don't think that they should have been, this small. Okay, now maybe fine, Hasbro was trying to get them to be accurate to how they appeared in the movie. But these two could be easily lost and could be easily swallowed by a dog if you have one. I feel like these two could have been a little bit bigger than looking like two specks in the dart, basically. Because, if they could stand on the table without falling. Actually, let me lean them up against Shockwave's feet so that way you can see how big they are compared to him. Because this is literally how small they are. I don't like the fact that they're this small. Because within the last week that I've had the Shockwave figure, I've almost lost them at least twice. Within this last week that I've had the Shockwave figure. So I don't know. I feel like it could have been better. And not only that, but he also comes with the parachute guy right here. So, if you want to, you could recreate the scene where he got blinded by the parachute. Which I find to be pretty funny, if you ask me. The fact that he just ends up getting blinded by a parachute. So now here comes the part for the transformation. So basically what I like to do whenever I'm transforming this figure is that I'm going to take the blade off and the cord thingy right here. Just so that way to make the transformation a little bit easier. So I only use the instructions once on this figure because, it's pretty easy after you figure it out. So basically what you're going to want to do is that you're going to want to, not forcibly, but, you're going to want to take the two arms out like that, out of their tabs, and do that. Okay? Pull his arms back. And of course, put his head up because basically like the Studio Series Revenge of the Fallen Megatron, in other words. So basically what you're going to want to do now is take that out. See, that's how similar he is to Revenge of the Fallen Megatron. And basically what you're going to want to do is put the foot back like this and take that little part out. And do the same thing with his left leg. And pretty much do the same thing right here. And then what you're going to want to do now is just fold it down like this. Let me move the camera down if it doesn't, want to fall on me. So obviously this is not the completed product of how he should look in his tank form. Hold on. Let me just, give me 1 second. I'm going to pause the video right here so I can fix my tripod so that way it doesn't fall. So to continue the transformation without my tripod falling. So basically, obviously, this is not the completed product. So then what you're gonna want to do here is take his little turret thingies out and kind of push that down. And then, hold on. And then push this down a little bit more if I could, figure that out. So basically, right here, if the camera will focus on it, but I'll just tell you, there's a little port thingy right there where you have to kind of connect it to a hole right here. Don't think the camera caught that, but basically then now that port is connected. So then you're gonna want to fold his arms in like so. And there's also a slot right here where you could tab his arms into. And, like so. And hold on, because this is a big gun. Sorry. But basically, you're going to want to do the same thing for his gun arm. If I can. That would be nice. Okay, figured it out. So then, it's also kind of the same thing with his legs to kind of connect them. Like, there's also a port, like a little slot right there that you want to, just fit in there. And do the same thing with his right leg. If I can, I don't want to break it. Hold on, sorry. So then, hold on. I'm just trying to figure this out. That's why I'm, So basically, this is him in his tank mode. Obviously, connect this back right here. Hold on, let me fix his turrets right here. So basically, you're gonna bring his turrets up. And also there's a slot right on the back of his arms or on his shoulders right there. So it's pretty much the same thing as the legs and the arms. Okay, so now that I've already added the blade, it's time to add this thingy back, the cord. So connect that back, and then instead of bring it all the way over here, just, oh, my thumb was in the way. Just bring it right there. This is how he looks compared to the other characters I mentioned a little bit ago, but in their vehicle form. So right here, okay, so basically, the cord's coming out. His little cannon cord is coming out. So just give me 1 second. No, whatever. It's still gonna be, that matters right now. So let me get Dreadwing. Bloopers. I'm keeping that in the video. So basically, due to Shockwave's cannon, of course, he's gonna be a little bit bigger, a little bit taller than Dreadwing right here. So yeah. That's basically how big he is compared to Dreadwing, and technically Skyquake as well, since this is pretty much the same mold as Skyquake. Okay, so, okay, if the camera doesn't bounce around. So, and then, compared to Grindor, on the other hand, just get this one out of the way. So basically, if one cannot already tell, Grindor is pretty much the taller one right here. To where the point he comes out, where he's out of the camera's frame. So yeah. Then here he is next to Optimus Prime. pretty much the same thing, but you know, it's pretty much the same thing with Dreadwing, but except Optimus is smaller. And then compared to the Fallen, so basically, hold on, give me 1 second. Shockwave's taller. And then here he is compared to Megatron in tank mode. Right here. He's pretty much taller than Megatron as well in tank mode. And what he looks compared to Megatron's jet form. So basically it's the same thing I said before. It's basically the same thing I said before. He's still taller than Megatron, you know. So yeah, he's still taller than Megatron in a vehicle form. So overall, I do think that this is a pretty good figure. In my opinion, I at least give it a 10 out of 10. Maybe over, like, as a figure by itself, 10 out of 10 and everything, obviously. But like, overall, maybe like at least a 9.5 out of 10 because knocking some points off it because it brings in Wheelie right here in the corner for those that can't see them. But yeah, other than that, I think that this is a good figure. I suggest you buy it. I got mine off a Big Bad Toy Store because he was on pre-order on Hasbro Pulse, and I wasn't gonna wait another month just to get this figure. So I like the figure. I like it very much. I mean, as I've said multiple times throughout the video. So I suggest you all buy it. Just make sure that if you do get it, keep track of these guys, because like I said, I've at least lost them once or twice almost. But yeah, other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe to me here on Megatron the Comedian. I'm on Instagram as well. Although the only difference is that instead of putting the what do you call it, the underscores in my name, just put the 2 little periods between Megatron and Comedian, if that kind of makes sense. I'm also on TikTok under the same name as my YouTube channel. So yeah, make sure to follow me all on my socials as well. Thank you all for watching. This is Megatron the Comedian, out. Also, before I forget to mention, I plan on also releasing a video tomorrow explaining why both the Bumblebee movie and Transformers Rise of the Beast don't connect to Bayverse, even though yes, there are Transformers fans that do know that. I just want to make a clarification video on it, but yeah, that's pretty much about it. I just want to clarify for those that don't understand, you know, and for those who are still kind of new to the Transformers franchise. So that's pretty much about it. Now, Megatron the Comedian signing out.